Hello, and welcome to
Papi Approved Movies.
My name is Papi.
And I'm Natalie.
In our podcast, we'll review and critique my favorite PG-13 movies.
Movies that I wasn't allowed to watch until I turned 13.
Every week, Natalie and I will watch a new PG-13 movie.
And I'll see if Papi's movies live up to the hype.
Which, of course, they will.
Today we're going to be watching Italian Job.
Before we begin, there will be spoilers. If you haven't seen the movie and don't want it to be spoiled,
press pause and come back when you're finished. Now, Papi, tell me the deets on this movie.
Okay. The Italian Job came out in 2003 with a runtime of 1 hour and 51 minutes. It's streaming on Paramount Plus. We didn't have to rent it. That's nice.
Finally.
I know. It was written by Troy Kennedy Martin, Donna Powers, and Wayne Powers, and directed by F. Gary Gary.
A lot of powers.
A lot of powers. And the director's name is F. Gary Gary. 2 Garys in the name. I don't know. I wonder what that means. The main stars are Donald Sutherland, Mark Wahlberg, and Edward Norton. Fun fact, this movie is a remake of a 1969 movie of the same title. Troy Kennedy Martin also wrote the original. It stars Sir Michael Caine as Charlie, and it had a similar storyline, and even Minnie Cooper's as well.
I wonder which movie he likes better.
Oh, the guy who wrote him?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I wonder. You asked him, which one did you like more? All right, it also had an actor in there that I never knew made movies named Benny Hill. Benny Hill was a TV show that I watched when I was little that would definitely not be made today. If you ever watched that show. But anyways, I saw that he was in that movie, and I'm like, Benny Hill's an actor? But he was just kind of like a clown in this one TV show. So what do you think, Nat?
I thought it was okay. It was another heist movie, but I thought this one was more exciting to me than Ocean's 11.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I liked it, but I do think that there's a lot of parts that wouldn't be made today.
Okay. Yeah, that'll be good to hear about it. So what do you rate it?
I give it a 3 stars.
3 stars? I think you gave Ocean's 11 like 4 stars.
I gave it a 3.5, but my ratings were very skewed back then.
Okay, so now you're more strict on your ratings?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. Let's not go back and rate the other old movies, okay? I think we'll just keep those forever. I guess it's like, would you still rate it the same? I mean, that's like a whole nother question. Like, if the movie can still be made today, what would be the rating today? Maybe we would
do those episodes.
No, we will not. We will not.
Maybe we will do an episode like that. Like, would you rate them differently?
Oh, maybe like a year later kind of thing? Uh-huh. Yeah, maybe. You go back and go, yeah, I don't know what I was thinking when I thought Dodgeball was a 5-star movie. I don't know.
Why don't we get into the recap?
Okay. The movie starts in Venice with John waking his daughter Stella up with a phone call. He tells her she's going to get a shiny gift in the mail. They have a nice conversation, and she tells him to quit the life of banditry. He says he has one more score, and he's out. Not always the way it is. One more. I need one more, and then I'm out.
This is the part that was like Ocean's 11, because because she's like, what did your parole officer think? And Danny Ocean was on parole.
Yeah, the same thing. And actually, in the end of Ocean's 11, he goes back to jail for parole violation.
Yeah.
Well, John sees a different fate. Let's keep going. John meets up with Charlie, his protege, who he loves like a son. They meet up with the rest of the crew as they prepare for a heist. The crew members are Handsome Rob, the wheelman, Left Ear, the demolition man, Lyle, the tech guy, and Steve. Everybody had like a specialty except for Steve. Mm-hmm. That should have been a nice little heads up on what might come in the future.
Yeah.
What did Steve do? Nothing.
They talked about how, was it Left Ear or something? That he blew something up and then like his ear is deaf, and then they're like, and he's been blowing stuff up ever since. Like, that's the lesson he learned from that.
Right. He went half deaf and he's like, he wants to go full deaf, I guess. I don't know. They drive their boat into an underground garage below a safe they want to steal. Steve is on the inside, and Left Ear tells him where to paint the ceiling with an explosive compound. They line up the paint with the large safe on the top floor. They blow the ceilings, and the safe falls through the floors all the way to the garage below. Then Rob takes off on a boat, and a high-speed boat chase ensues. But it's a trick, because the safe is really below water, and John, in a scuba suit, is breaking into it. He finally breaks into it, and it is full of gold. They take all the gold out of the safe, and they take it away in 3 underwater submersible boats. Rob gets away, and the heist is a success.
Woo!
They make all that money. How much money they said they were making? 30 million, 35 million or something like that. Yeah. The team celebrates in the Alps, and John tells Charlie that he's retiring and that he will take his place as the leader of the group. They all start to drive the gold away when they're ambushed. Before they know it, Steve betrays them and shoots John.
Steve, no!
He was good for nothing anyways, you know. See, that was that foreshadow. I'm like, Steve's a no guy, so what was the point of having him there, you know?
Yeah, no name.
And he had a mustache. You know, they ever notice that the guys with the mustaches are always, it's never a good guy.
Mario,
yeah, exactly. And Luigi. The team drives off a bridge and are assumed dead. They survive because of some of the scuba equipment was in the car. After Steve and his henchmen leave, the crew get out of the water and they take John's body with them. And his body floats up like he died.
like a dead fish.
Like a dead fish, yeah.
Although our fish didn't float up, they just stayed dead.
No, a lot of them floated. Yeah, that's a horror story that doesn't need to be retold. The dead fish fiasco of what, 2018 maybe?
Was there another one?
No, maybe there was, I don't know. 1 year later, Stella is breaking into a safe in record time. She is now a professional safecracker for a security company. When she gets back to the office, Charlie's waiting inside. He tells her that they found Steve in LA. They think he still has the gold, and they want to steal it back. She says no. But that night, she reconsiders, and then joins the crew.
Yeah, her attitude changed really quickly.
Like, what do you mean?
Like, she was like, no! And then the next day, she's like, okay, I'm here now.
Yeah. I don't know, I guess they made her...
I don't even think he did much coaxing. She just, like, came eventually.
No, yeah, he left, right?
Yeah.
He said, want to do it? And she's like, nah. He's like, all right, well, we're doing it without you.
Yeah. And then she was like, the next day, and she's like, all right, guys, what's up?
There was where she's thinking, or it was like reflection period, and then she said, okay, I guess I'll do it. Anyways, the entire crew gets together with Stella on their team. They know that the gold is inside of Steve's mansion, and he has a state-of-the-art security system, guards set up outside, and a top-of-the-line safe, and they even have dogs.
The security system is Carson A, which is ADT, basically. It even had the, like, blue hexagon, or octagon. I don't know my shapes, really.
Okay, that's not good, but all right. Yeah, probably. It's like an ADT ripoff, you know, without using the brand name.
ADT dupe.
Maybe there is a Carson. I don't know. Maybe that's like a famous one that we don't know. Because we don't have a mansion. And we don't need a state-of-the-art security system. So, anyways, there's dogs there. And they plan to take the money to a train for transport. But they run into a huge problem when Rob starts timing how long it will take to get the money to the train station. The LA traffic is so congested, they will surely be caught. And Lyle comes up with an idea to control the traffic lights so they can make the getaway faster.
I'm so sad. I remember it was like kind of like what I thought, that like there's a person in a room like controlling the lights.
All right, you thought okay, go ahead and share what you actually thought how traffic lights worked in America.
So
in 2023.
Not in 20.
Immediately right now. Yes, go ahead.
I thought that someone sat in a room and looked at the cameras at the street, and whenever a car would come up to the light, that he'd turn it on green.
He'd what?
That he'd turn it green.
Oh, so the guy's looking at the camera all day, every day. He works 24-hour shifts.
And when there's a lot of cars and there's still like a red light, that he's just like not paying attention.
Got it. And then he like, do you think he's like biased? He's like, no, they look like nice people. Let them go first.
Yes.
Yeah, that makes sense. I could see where that would be fine. Anyway, so they come up with a way to control the traffic lights through computers, which is kind of how they work now.
I feel like this movie could also take place in like New York.
Yeah, it would make sense to be
like
in New
with
York.
a lot of traffic and all of that, and like big loud city. And then I feel like places in New York are really expensive, so imagine like a mansion in New York. That would really show that he's like a rich guy.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's true. Like a penthouse or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Like they could have said They could have like changed a few street names and then said they're in New York, and I'd be like, yeah, I believe it.
Well, you don't even know the street names in LA.
Yeah.
So anyway, they could have told you that was Chicago or Illinois or San Francisco, and you wouldn't go, oh, I know that street.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know LA streets either. For the heist to work, the crew needs to get some surveillance footage of the house. They come up with an idea to go in as a cable repair person to film the inside and create a digital blueprint of the house. Stella has to do it because she's the only one Steve doesn't know.
There's like there's an American flag pin as the camera, and they used an American flag pin in Miss Congeniality too.
I had it in here. I had set you up. You had mentioned it earlier. In the next section, if you would read the recaps as well, then you would know what I'm going to tell you.
I will step on your words and you will like.
I'm trying to help you not step on my words, so that way what you're saying is amazing.
I need more words anyways.
Rob and Lyle spot some cable repair vans and a woman repair person named Becky. Rob romances her and gets an imprint of the van key and takes her shirt for Stella to use. Left ear disconnects the cable and Steve calls the cable company for repairs. Stella gets into the house impersonating the cable repair person using a camera pin. Oh, now a camera pin just like the other movie, could have said right then. But no, you don't read the recap.
Why would I read the recap?
Using a camera pin, she records the mansion and locates the safe. Steve flirts with Stella and asks her out. So she says yes, but that's only so that way she can get him out of the house for the night of the heist.
Creepy.
I know, it is creepy. Because he's the one that killed her dad, right?
Yeah. And he wouldn't like take no for an answer. Like he wouldn't leave her alone.
No, he was very much harassing her until she said yes. With the video footage, they create a digital blueprint and come up with an idea to use 3 Mini Coopers to drive up to the safe, steal the money, and drive out. The Mini Coopers would fit in the house's narrow hallways because they're small.
Yay, Mini Cooper.
They're kind of cute, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And they had a red, white, and blue one.
To match the pin.
Match the pin or the American flag or the British flag because it was originally made in Britain, the first movie.
Oh.
And they used the same colors, red, white, and blue.
That makes sense.
Pretty cool. That night, Steve goes out to a broker named Yevon and sells some of his gold for cash. The deal goes sideways and Steve kills him.
Oopsies. My bad.
I know. Sorry, accident. Yevon's cousin Mashkov, leader of the Ukrainian gang, comes right as Steve escapes. Mashkov is furious and wants to find Yevon's killer and get revenge. Heist night is here. Steve is out on his date and the crew make their move. Unfortunately, Steve's neighbor's having a party and the crew has to abort. To keep her cover, Stella goes on the date.
That doesn't make sense because, like, the party, they're like, oh, people will hear. But if it's a party, won't it be loud enough so that they don't hear?
There might be a car. I mean, if you see a red, white, and blue Mini Cooper driving away, someone might have said something. Someone might have got a license plate. They can get caught that way.
That's true.
Although it would be on the getaway. So, I don't know. I guess they had to have more drama. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess. Longer movie.
Longer movie, yeah. It was like, and the end, they ran away. And he never even knows. He's at the restaurant waiting for Stella to show up, and she never shows up. Because she's at his house stealing his money. So anyway, Stella goes to the date. Steve enjoys the date, thinks it's going to go even further. And then accidentally, Stella quotes a saying her father used to say. Steve recognizes the saying and figures out that she's Stella, John's daughter.
That would have been so awkward if she's like, I knew a man like you, and then was like about to kill him, and she's like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, it wasn't her dad at all, and he's just like about to kill some girl because she says a saying.
Yeah, I know. Like, that could have been a famous saying, like, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'd be like a stitch in time saves 9.
Like,
oh, I used to know a guy who said that. You're like, oh, my great uncle used to say that.
And she's like, I'm gonna need to kill you. And they're like, oh my God, leave me alone.
And it's not like it was, I don't know. It's not like he came up with the saying, right?
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah, so he's like, in a Bible verse, they're like, Bible verse. Anyways, as soon as that all goes down, the crew comes out of hiding to stand up for her, and Steve and Charlie have a talk. Steve says he sold all the money, and Charlie can't win. Charlie punches him, and then they leave. And Stella was mad that She was trying to punch him, and then they stopped her from punching him.
Yeah, that's so unfair. He was gonna get punched anyway, so why couldn't she do it?
Well, I think he wasn't planning on punching her. I think punching him. I think he just lost his cool. Because Steve's such a jerk, you know what I mean? That night, the crew finds out that Steve is deciding to move the money the next day. He will use a helicopter and 3 armored trucks to confuse the team. They make a new plan to intercept and hijack the trucks and the gold. Later, we find out Mashkov thinks the crew is responsible for Yevon's death. Although, behind the scenes, they end up finding out the truth.
That's good. Imagine 2 different groups were after them.
It's kind of set up that way, right? It
Yeah.
makes you think that way. Heist day, take 2. The 3 armored trucks leave Steve's house. Lyle uses street cameras to decipher which truck has the money by looking at the tire pressure. I thought that was pretty clever.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that was smart. They don't know who's in where the money is.
Yeah, but the one that's like more weighed down would be the one with the gold.
Yeah. Steve is in a helicopter flying above to keep an eye on everything. Lyle then starts to change the traffic patterns by changing the lights to force the armored truck with the gold to follow a path.
You would think that he would also have some way to combat the traffic, but he's just planning to sit in traffic with pounds and pounds of gold in his trunk.
Well, I mean, first off, that happens all the time with armored trucks, but they don't necessarily know which one is in there, right?
Yes.
This crew thinks it might be the first one or the second or the third one. He never thought that they would figure out how to find out the real location of the gold. All right. Once the truck is in position, they blow the street below the truck, and the gold and the truck fall underground. Then they cover it up with a metal plate, and it looks like the truck just disappeared. Although
it does not look like it disappeared. There's a giant piece of metal on the ground.
Yeah, there's metal all over the streets. There's construction everywhere.
I guess that's true.
The crew is actually waiting underneath the street in their Mini Coopers, ready to load up the gold, put it in the cars, and make their getaway.
Mini Coopers.
Obviously, I'm not know much about cars, because when I was doing the recap, I was writing my notes, I kept writing Fiat. I thought they were all Fiats. And then later on, I read they were Mini Coopers, but whatever.
At least they're both small cars.
They're both small cars.
That would be funny if you were and in the Ford truck.
And in the Ford, yeah. And in the tank, they were able to drive it. Yeah, no. Once they load up the cars, a chase scene begins with Steve's henchmen who are on motorcycles, and Steve in his helicopter. Eventually, the crew get away and get to the train station.
They should have just put the gold in the helicopter.
Oh, it's probably too heavy. No, I wonder why not, right?
Because then they could just go over everything and it would be all fine.
Yeah, they couldn't get anything. That's a good point. I mean, helicopters, how much the gold was? I know it was super heavy, right? So much so that they needed 3 cars to carry it.
Yeah.
I wonder how much that helicopter... Although he was rich, he could have just got a bigger helicopter, right?
Yeah.
You have helicopters that could take 10 people, right?
So it should hold his gold.
Yeah, the gold, yeah. The gold.
Or he could have gotten 3 helicopters like they did with the Mini Coopers and just put the gold in all 3 helicopters.
Or they'd taken all 3 armored trucks and filled them halfway up or a third of the way up. Then if they stole one of them, then he got to keep the other 3 or 4. They could have 10 trucks. I don't know. There's a lot of ways he could have avoided getting in trouble, right? Yeah.
He should have just loaded it all up in his helicopter. Or he could have just gotten an airplane and just put it all in his cargo.
Well, how are you going to get that from the house?
That's true.
Yeah, you're not going to land an airplane on the house. But the helicopter left from the house, right?
Yeah, that's true.
And then he had enough henchmen for them to carry all the gold up or something. Yeah. Anyways, the crew gets away. They get to the train station. And there they stow the cars on a cargo train. Steve follows the crew and eventually catches up with them. Then he opens up the train door, expecting to get the money, and it's an ambush. The crew is inside, and Stella punches Steve. Finally, she gets to punch him.
Yay.
Steve says he will get them one day because, they're not going to hurt him and kill him. They're not murderers, right? They're just thieves.
Gosh darn it.
But just then, Mashkov comes, and the henchmen take him away. So I think Mashkov's not going to be as nice because he wants to get revenge for Yevon's death.
So he might get murdered. Yay!
Yeah, I don't think there's a second part with him in it. They actually talked about a second part for this movie. They were going to call it the Brazilian heist. No, the Brazilian job. They were going to make it in Brazil, but I I guess it never materialized.
I think that they would call it the LA job because then it would be the last heist, just like the Italian job was the last heist.
Yeah, maybe. And then Charlie's last job. He's getting older now, right? Him and Stella, they're like retiring.
Yeah.
Although they made like $30 million after. Well, anyway, let's finish the story. The crew celebrates on the train and everyone gets what they want. In the final scene, we see Charlie and Stella together on a gondola in Venice. And it makes you think that they actually ended up together and falling in love. Although they never had a romance throughout the movie.
Yeah.
I guess now that they're all rich, they realize that they're in love. The end. I liked it. It was pretty good. It's a good story. Nice and short, fun. Had good heist situations. It's not as cool as Ocean's 11 for me. Ocean's 11 has this coolness factor, you know what I mean? The takes and the talking, and then the actors are, I think, a little cooler.
Maybe this one's more easy for me to understand, and that's why I like it better.
Maybe. Definitely.
There's less people in the crew, so it's just easy.
Yeah, it's not 12 people in the crew, and they're pretty obviously different, all of them.
Yeah.
They're pretty funny. And then Stella's in the crew. Oh, there you go. We have a female in the crew now, right?
Yeah.
We didn't have one in the last one until the sequel to Ocean's 11. Ocean's 12, I think, has a female in the crew, but yeah. All right. Could this movie still be made today?
I don't know. I feel like it's 50-50.
All right. Well, talk to me.
Well, actually, it's just some of the things that they say.
All right. Go ahead.
So, like, when they're talking about all the stuff that they want with all the gold, they're always talking about, like, naked women and stuff. So, like, one person's like, I'm thinking of naked girls and leather seats. And then the other guy's like, I want speakers that are so loud it blows the clothes off women. And stuff like that. And then I also think Steve, obviously he's just a terrible person in general, but he was like, he told, what's the main guy's name?
Charlie.
He told Charlie, put a leash on your cat while, like, talking about Stella. Like, he couldn't even insult Stella to her face. Like, he had to insult her through a different person.
Yeah, like he couldn't talk to her.
Yeah.
It is funny because everybody wanted something, right? Handsome Rob wanted a car to get girls, right? Left Ear wanted the speakers, I guess. He was the one that wanted a stereo, so that way he can get girls. And then Lyle, the tech guy, wanted something, like a computer, so he can get girls, right? So the whole point was to get girls, right? And there's another scene I imagine you're going to talk about, but go ahead. What else?
When they're like the Becky, the news reporter girl.
Yeah. Not news reporter.
News. I missed it.
News reporter girl from Anchorman. No, the cable repair lady.
The cable repair lady. And they like zoom in on one boob and then they're like, Becky, I wonder what she calls the other one. Like, this could have been this is like that ad of the binoculars that says beauty.
So we bought binoculars on Amazon and then it said, this is, you can use binoculars for many things. One of them is like wildlife, ocean, stars. And then another thing you can use the binoculars for is beauty. And there was a picture of a girl in a bikini.
Yeah. But
that's pretty funny because, the name tag was over one side of her body, obviously. So he's talking about the different boobs there.
But it was like, this is a perfectly normal scene. And they had to make it perverted.
Well, the whole scene was perverted, right?
Yeah.
And then afterwards, Handsome Rob's idea he said, I'm going to sleep with her so I can get her shirt and then the key, right? And then he ends up romancing the girl, ends up taking her shirt and ends up taking
when
her key.
They could have just like gotten the name tag and like a white shirt, perfectly normal. Of course.
I mean, these guys are like high-tech heist people. Yeah. And then the way they had to get the shirt was to sleep with the lady.
Yeah.
Like she went home that day without a shirt.
Yeah.
Right?
Like, what is she going to do the next day at work?
Yeah, she's going to get to work and go like, maybe she has more than one.
Maybe. But it was like a name tag, so I doubt she has like 50 name tags.
They can, when I used to work a long time ago at Dave & Buster's, if you lost your name tag, they would make you another one, but they would just always give you hassle. And you're like, oh, where's your name tag? How'd you forget it? So they can give you another one, but that's funny. And then, Becky didn't show up to work or maybe she didn't work that day. Who knows? Maybe Becky had to...
Maybe Becky had a day off.
That's funny because she's a named character. I don't even think she talked. Did she talk? I mean, maybe she did. They just see her from afar.
Yeah. And then they mimic her talking.
Yeah. Becky. Anyways, that was a pretty funny part. I mean, obviously, I can tell that it wouldn't necessarily be made the same way. What else?
That's it.
That's it? That's all you have? You're like, it's a 50-50 chance? That's all you saw?
No, I think 50-50 with what they say.
Oh, okay. All right.
Not the movie itself.
Got it. Does it pass the Bechdel test?
No.
No, I don't think it does. All right. Well, let's talk about the Bechdel test. Bechdel test is a test to check for female representation in movies. There are 3 criteria. First criteria is, are there 2 named females in the movie?
There's Stella and there's Becky.
I mean, it shouldn't even pass one because there's no other female characters in the whole movie.
No.
That's it. So only one character that's female speaks in the movie. I can't remember if Becky talked. I don't think so. I know Lyle talked for her in that one little scene. But
No, she didn't talk.
No. All right. Well, it passes the first part. Second part is, do they talk to each other?
No.
Which is impossible because they can't talk to each other if one of them doesn't even talk.
There was a scene where I was like, ooh, it's gonna happen. Where like Stella's talking to her like secretary lady, but she doesn't have a name. Like they're just talking.
Yeah. They do talk.
Yeah, they talk, but she doesn't have a name. She's just secretary lady.
Yeah, she's not a named character. All right.
So that's it.
And then do they talk about anything other than man? Obviously not. Denied.
And even the secretary lady was like, oh, someone's about to see you, blah, 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 blah.
That's not about a man. It could have been anybody.
Oh, yeah, I guess.
But she doesn't have a name, right?
Yeah.
She's not a character, a featured character. And Becky, all Becky was a pretty face and a name. Right? There was no character there.
Yeah.
She had a job, but that was it. All right. Is there anything else?
Nope.
Okay. Thank you for tuning in to Papi Approved Movies.
If you like this episode, make sure to subscribe, rate, and review on your favorite podcast app.
We put out an episode every Monday. If you want to suggest a movie for us to watch and critique,
email us at papiapprovedmovies@gmail.com.
That's papiapprovedmovies@gmail.com. No spaces, no caps.
We'll try our best to get to your suggestions.
And remember, it has to be PG-13.
Next week, we're watching Overboard, the 2018 version. So I hope you join us.
I'm Papi.
And I'm Natalie.
See you next time.
Bye!